So I was going to do a 57-minute pre-composed kazoo piece. Someday. Anyway, oh my gosh, now I'm loud. Well, anyway, these here, the long and the short of it is we've come up from San Diego with the Array instruments. And I kind of feel like San Diego was very important to the development of the Array instruments because no one responds to things in San Diego. So you keep going back to the drawing board for like 20 years before you discover that no one will respond no matter what you do. And by that time, you've developed the perfect thing. So San Diego is really good at getting people to develop things to the limit of their creativity. And basically, these are instruments that I designed because they were practical. And the whole idea is that anyone can play these. And that most of the instruments we have are not very practical when it comes to a lot of the music we play, especially when it comes to multiple note music. Flutes and all this just play one note at a time, a clarinet one note at a time, about 90% of instruments one note at a time. And if you're only got one note at a time, it makes sense to just put them in a row. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, you just go right up, bigger, 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 really easy. And it helps with melody. But as soon as you go to play chords or something, you go crazy trying to figure this out, especially with keyboards and the weird fingerings and all this. So basically, there's another way that you can put notes that isn't in a line. It's more complicated. It's in a plane. That's 2 dimensions. A line's 1, a plane's 2. And this planar way of putting notes takes the notes that are spread from here to here on the keyboard and puts them in a space about that big because it's 2-dimensional and a flat surface. And in that space, basically everything about harmony becomes as clear as the line makes melody. I mean, if I got a guitar or violin, I'm just going to go do 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 do, really easy. That's just a bunch of close stuff. Everything close will make a melody, right? So it just locks me into one note melody just beautifully. Yay. But then when I go to play chords, it's just this convoluted mess that takes me 10 years to figure out, And so it's like on here, it's just a reverse. On here, everything is set up. So just like you do melodies so easy on linear systems, you do chords so easy. Giant chords. Chords with 12, 20, 30, 40, 50 notes. Chords that only symphony orchestras play. And you're doing this solo. So what happens is all that power, you need to assemble 60 people, and you need to train them for 20 years and make them into total slaves to the composer, And then after you beat them for 20 years with relentless practice till they hate music, finally we can hear that symphonic construct that was in the composer's mind. But it turns out that if we have an instrument that's friendly to harmony, no matter what the composer thinks, no matter how crazy, no matter how many 200 groups of people you need to do it, you can do it in real time as they imagine it according to their feeling, which to me is what gets you the perfect music. A lot of people have been telling me, oh, improvisation, that's just masturbation. A lot of people say that, and I think that's just the worst kind of prejudice. Because, yeah, maybe you could describe it that if you were improvising falsely, just like if you were coming up with lines to a prospective date that were totally false and you were doing it coldly. Yeah, that's nothing. But if you're saying what you feel, if you're meaning what you say and saying what you mean, then it's the opposite of that. That's a performance. If you're expressing your real feelings improvising, that's the top of the music. That's a composer in real time. And so far, we just haven't had instruments, except for computers, that really help. And what good does it do if it's a computer? Yeah, I can do all these great things, and I stand by and go, well, the machine clicks away. Okay, I'm not impressed. The computer doesn't feel anything. It can do all this stuff, and it doesn't know what any of it means. I know what it means. So, we all know what it means. So, basically, that doesn't help. There's no way around it. Music is physical. It's not just mental. It's physical. And you can't get past the physical aspect of music. And so many people have been locked into a mental direction with the most physical thing in the universe because this is basically dance that you can hear, you know, that they've lost their way in many cases and completely lost what music is all about. And I think that when I came up with this system, it's like the wheel. You know, lots of things, other things will do, wings, propellers, whatever. But when it comes to the wheel, it's the wheel. There's nothing else on the list. It's the only thing that works. Well, this is the wheel of music, literally. And we think we're an advanced society because we got the wheel, but we don't have the wheel of music yet. But I do have evidence that Plato and others understood this. They also live in a cloistered life. They thought doing real music was somehow a sin, like sex was in the abstract to them too. And real sex was just something horrible. But, you know, imaginary, romantic, rewritten, you know, versions of it were cool. And so they thought, you know, expressing yourself in music was obscene to a certain degree. They thought you needed to control your emotions, all reason. So they had an agenda to kill off musical expression, and yet they possessed the ultimate invention to foster musical expression. Think what that means. That means for centuries this has been buried. And I mean, this isn't some, you know, UFO cult thing. I mean, really, I have the evidence. I could show you where Plato said, you know, he said something on here. These 4 notes form a kind of tile. They form a kind of a square turned on its side, a diamond. Plato said, cryptically, no one's understood to this day what he meant. He said, 6, 8, 9, 12. They form the tile that tiles the plane of truth. And he went on to show that this was the most sacred construct in the universe. Well, literally, if this were 600 hertz, that'd be 800 hertz, this would be 900 hertz, and that'd be 1200 hertz. And that all translates to string lengths. So even though they didn't know about frequencies, they knew about string lengths. And it's you get the same notes with string lengths related by 6, 8, 9. And I have it here on my system as a tile. On a line, it's not a tile. On no other system is it a tile. Those notes are all apart, spread out. Here they're together as a diamond that forms an infinite plane. And we're taking this infinite plane with this instrument, and we're doing what Plato didn't want us to do. We're doing music. And we're doing the kind of music that would just send him up the wall.